Yes.
Hello and welcome to Minding the Mindset. With me is a luminary, someone who is adorable with all the people following on all across. Thank you so much and welcome, Mr. Sudhakar Rao. Thank you so much, sir, for being here.
Thank you very much, Dawood, for inviting me and hosting me today. It's my pleasure to be with you on this session.
So it's our honor and privilege. So your journey is impeccable. Director of India's, premium branding institute, IIM, and the Bangalore. Your stint with MIT Sloan. So education has been a journey for you. Please tell us more.
Uh, the journey of education is equal to the journey of learning. Since learning is continuous and unending, I think we need to keep learning, we need to keep understanding several segments of our society and make sure how all these segments are useful to the society in turn. So, my own opportunities of learning both at undergrad level and at the postgrad level, whether it is engineering or management or design thinking, I think I'm extremely fortunate to get these opportunities by my way, and whatever little that we can harness from this learning and try and see how it can be utilized for the benefit of some other folks, some other entities. I think that would be my concern, and I'm very happy that you have asked me this question. But nothing great. There are greater stalwarts available in the industry and in the world and in this country. We need to keep learning from them. Which this is just a small beginning for me. Thank you.
So this is wonderful. The best part about you, sir, you're so accessible when we meet you in conferences. And I read a quote that you just uploaded where it says, leaders are those who create real estate spaces in hearts and mind. I'm sure you've done that, sir. How do you manage
Yeah,
so much?
that is pretty close to my mindset. And I believe that leaders are those people who increase space on the real estate of their minds and hearts. So, leaders are givers, leaders are the people who nurture others, they develop more leaders. So, unless and until they create more space for others to grow, uh, I think they will not be very effective. And those who are not effective are not leaders. So leadership is a function of acceptance, and therefore it sees empathy and it sees a reflection in others' growth. So therefore, leadership is more dynamic, and leadership is something which is very very interesting as a phenomenon for all of us to study. And while talking about that in the context of a recent webinar, I mentioned that. Leaders are those who create more space on the real estate of their minds and hearts.
Wow, sir. So we have heard leaders are the one who shows the way, knows the way, and goes the way. I'm sure you one of us. You are just someone we really follow in all the way that you show us, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So in this 15 days and 21 days and a little more of the pandemic, we've seen a complete shift of the schools. Technologies have become, Zooms have become very popular. How do you see schools in the 10 years from now as we grow, sir?
uh, Instead of looking at 10 years from now, I think we should look at the immediate first.
Okay.
I believe very strongly when we read certain books in history or when we observe certain activities that take place, there are certain game changing events. One of that game changing event is this pandemic. And due to pandemic, there's been a lockdown, and due to lockdown, several segments have suffered.
Yes.
Now, these segments which have suffered are very, very important for us to understand. Keeping all that aside, let me talk about education. I think in education, we are also going to change the game. We are also going to change the way we have been functioning, both at the school level as well as higher education level. The schools will be the last one to be opened after the lockdown. Let us take it, even if it is not announced yet.
All right. This is a very
But
bold
schools will
statement, sir.
be the first one to recover from the impact of lockdown.
Wow. Okay.
Compared to other industries,
Mhm.
education will be one of the foremost and the first one to recover from the aftermath of the lockdown. But it will be the last one to be opened. As you know, universities will be open in September, a little before the schools will be opened. That is about the new sessions that we have to start in the academic year of 2020.
Right, right,
Now, the way we have taught and learned, this learning teaching space is something which is going to get actually little more efficient. People will digitize themselves, online properties will be built,
right,
accessibility will be much easier, and therefore, as far as teachers are concerned or the faculty members are concerned, they will have to pick up the threads and adopt the technology and the new methods of teaching and orientation very quickly.
yeah,
The learners or the students, on the other hand, are anyway digital natives.
correct,
They pick it up very fast.
absolutely.
Therefore, for institutions at school level as well as at the higher education level, the most important takeaway now is to reorient teachers very quickly and make sure that our online academic reputation building, online academic deliveries, online academic effectiveness, and differentiation points, all these will have to be built around very quickly. Here, what is important to note is the ground principles will remain the same.
Yeah,
Even otherwise, you were fighting to distinguish yourself. You were fighting to differentiate yourself as an institution, as a school. Now you will have to bring all that on online, at least to start with.
all right.
My
So this is
prognosis is that the first 3 months will be a period where we'll do catch up. Most of the
okay,
schools and colleges and universities will do a catch up in the first 3 months.
okay,
They settle down and they realize that there's no other option, and we need to actually strengthen our online properties and our abilities to reach students in this generation very nicely. So the access and capacity building will happen only in the first 3 months. It'll
okay,
start from denial to wait and watch period to sitting on the fence to finally accepting and building the capabilities that we need to be online completely. I think
wow,
that will happen in the first 3 months. The next 6 months, that is after 3 months after the first 3 months,
right,
we will be trying to differentiate ourselves. The
okay,
faster that you do, the better it is for you.
okay,
But the ability to differentiate your school, ability to bring forth all that you have been doing otherwise as a differentiating point and put it very crisply and nicely for the students and communicate the same to their parents and influencers will win the day for them. I think entire energies in the second 3 months will be based on that. I think post January or so, things will be all right, and we will have to correct the academic schedules and make up for the loss of the time that we have had. And things will be normal as we move towards January, February, and March in totality. However, the one lesson that we will always take away from this pandemic is that we will do less of crowding, we will do less of conferencing, physical conferencing, we will do less of traveling. All that will save greater deal of carbon footprint. We will make it carbon negative to a large extent, and therefore people in their mindset will learn how to be very efficient with minimal resources, and the other resources that we always had, we will put it to the best use. Therefore, what we are trying to say here is efficiencies will be shown up, effectiveness will go up, and online reputation management will be a challenge, and it will take about 3 to 6 months to get these things right, and we'll be limping back to normalcy in 9 months time from now. That's my prognosis.
wow. So this is one of the most fantastic, transparent, candid, summary of what we can predict in education industry that I've heard. This is so beautiful. So my next question to you, sir, is the educationist Mr. Sudhakar Rao. I'm sure has got all these books around him that he's learning from the conferences. So right now in the pandemic, what are the books on your table, sir?
The book on the table for me is Anti-Fragile.
Wow.
This is authored by Taleb, uh, Nissim Nicholas Taleb.
Yes, the Black
So,
Swan guy.
yeah, yeah, exactly. He's my favorite author, and Anti-Fragile is for the current times. Although it has been written some time back,
Yes.
there cannot be a more appropriate book for me and the people like me and you to read at this time. Anti-Fragile is to prepare the societies and the human psyche and the mindset to be prepared for the unknown, to gear up for something which you have not prepared for, to handle something which has been thrown at you as a challenge all of a sudden. That anti-fragility is in sum total going to save the humanity. I think it is more of a mindset and not a material that the anti-fragility is required for. So this book is a great eye opener, and I think I'm going to write a book review on this because it is going to be more relevant in the current times than ever before. And I would like to also write small pieces which can be easily read. I can't do too much of a burden of writing today because people are not going to be patient enough to read long notes.
Long reviews, right?
The book itself is actually voluminous, but
Absolutely,
there
sir.
are relevant items, and I can customize it to the segment and then keep writing small pieces. But that is something which is keeping me excited. Anti-fragile is what we need to make our societies. Anti-fragile is what we need to make our mindsets. Anti-fragile is what the humanity is going to be.
I love the choice of words, sir. The way you know, it's more like poetic to me. The kind of books that you're choosing, the prognosis you suggested. So this is so much that we've got used to hearing from you. And I think that's why we flock all your social media accounts and your conferences.
Thank
Sir,
you.
I'm coming to my second round, which I call the don't mind it, or I call it with fondly the Rajinikanth round. We want to see the other side of Dr. Sudhakar, Sir Sudhakar. So let me ask you first. We saw glimpses of you working inside the house, washing dishes all around. So on a scale of 10, sir, if your spouse were asked how good a spouse you are, what would the rating be?
Uh, you wanted me to rate myself, right?
Yes, sir. And we'll get a testimonial, hopefully.
Uh, that's a tricky one, but you are known for asking these things. Uh, uh, I have only tried dishwashing.
All right. So we saw the pictures.
Yeah, I have only tried dishwashing, nothing great, but but I seem to be good at dishwashing. I'm not good at cooking. I'm not good at other things. I can do those things, and I have done those things as well. But I think I have found my strength that lies in dishwashing, and I probably could be one of the dishwashers or one of the best dishwashers around in my locality, probably. But on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll rate myself as pretty close to 9.
Wow, sir. So we'll get a testimonial from ma'am to attest to this fact for sure.
Oh, sure. She's not at home at this point in time. She's gone on work. She's actually in
Wow.
administration for government of Telangana, and she's working on the impact of lockdown and the relief measures that are being provided. So I'll hopefully get that done for you. I'll send a video by it if you want later.
No, no, thank you so much. And so we have seen you doing so much of relief work all over us. So how are you involved in?
What we have done is, see, there's enough of commentary. There is enough of nitpicking. There's enough of he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing this properly, he's not doing that properly. I think the
Yes.
armchair brooding or armchair analysis has been too much for us to see around.
Right.
I thought we should just get into the scene, do something which is going to be useful for at least a few individuals on the ground. So
Correct.
what I did was I spoke to my own classmates. We were a class of 94, College of Engineering at Usmania University.
Right.
My batchmates, I floated this idea and I shared with them that there's a lot of trouble out there. So they resonated very well and quickly said, yes, we'll do something. And then we formed a crack team of 4 members,
Oh,
and we called the program Feed the Needy.
absolutely.
So this program was basically aimed at supplying dry ration items like rice, dal, oil, vegetables, soaps, so on and so forth. So this is a kit which is prepared for sufficient for a family of 4, on which they can survive for 15 days. So that is one kit. So
Right.
we prepared these kits after a lot of deliberations, and then we thought this is going to cost something. So it costed us about 650 rupees at a scale.
Mhm.
So then we quickly pulled in money. A lot of my classmates were kind enough to donate the money, and we raised something like about 20 lakhs in a jiffy. When we called out to them, they did that. But first round of activity was to give them the proof of how it is working out. So in the first round, we raised 1.5 lakhs, and with that 1.5 lakhs, we reached out to around 350 odd families who are migrant workers, who are daily wages, who are underprivileged, who are the subalterns, and who don't have any other support. They don't have ration cards, therefore they are not getting the direct benefit from the government. So we identified carefully. The hero lies in identification of the pocket. So the needy have to be identified, which we have done very carefully. It was double checked by the government authorities. We requested one department to verify for us on the ground, take the list and help us. And so we worked very closely with them and identified that pocket and distributed 380 packets, that is 380 kits to these individuals, which meant we clicked pictures and then shown it to our own classmates again. And then the remaining money flowed in just like that. So what we are trying to do here is, in and around Hyderabad, we are trying to take care of those unfortunate individuals who have not been supported by government, or there have been gaps. See, government is doing their best. I am not blaming them, but there is bound to be some gap always when government goes through their standard operating procedures. And that's what voluntary groups like ours will come in and add some value. And I thought we need to jump into the scene and do something which will make a little bit of difference to the lives of several individuals. So the Feed the Needy program, as we are talking, uh, has touched about 30 such pockets. The first pocket I have described to you. So we have
Yes.
we
So
have touched
30 of these. So there's an
30.
entire plan, a proof of concept.
Yeah.
It's exactly the way you do in management. So this is wonderful.
Yeah. So what we have done is we have till now reached 30 pockets and distributed around 2,000 kits,
Okay.
which means we have taken care of 8,000 individuals for a period of 15 days. I think that
This
is
is
something which my classmates deserve a big round of applause
absolutely, sir.
for their support. And we've been fortunate enough to reach out. It is a once in a lifetime opportunity for us, a God-given opportunity for us to reach out to the fellow human being, and that's all that we see in there. And we are going to continue that. Today, I have taken a break for this discussion with you.
Thank you so
Tomorrow,
much.
day
Yes.
after, and on Sunday, we have huge pockets of distribution, and you will see that on my social media handles as well.
So this
Uh,
is
but
so
then,
commendable. This
yeah,
is
but then
amazing.
but then I thought that we should do some good work and also keep sharing with the friends so that they get inspired and they will also try and help their people in the neighborhood, because the misery out there is too much.
Yes.
The magnitude of misery is much, much larger than what you and I can fathom. I can tell you from the ground that with best of the intentions, we are not able to reach out to even 1% of them. My effort or my friends' efforts is just a drop in the ocean. But yes, we are doing our bit, and this has some value. And I hope that others also do a little bit on their own in their respective pockets wherever they can. That's my message.
That's so wonderful. So this is so commendable where you're leading the way and absolutely fantastic. So here are small questions coming your way. Absolutely immediately, I want you to answer. So who are you? A morning lark or an evening owl or the night owl?
I am a doer.
Okay, this is nice, sir.
I am not a armchair brooder. I am a doer. I can work any time in the day without being a problem to me. And I can postpone my physical requirement, luckily, depending on the urgent requirements of the immediate neighborhood. I think that's the way we have been trained, and that's the way we have been able to build our mindset. So sometimes in the past, when it was not pandemic and things were fine, I have always been a night owl as a student. And during daytime, you have to be very formal and conduct your
Uh,
business in the office.
Social, yes.
All that was fine with us. So depending on the requirement, we can don a different hat, but largely I'm a doer and not an armchair brooder.
Wow, sir. So given a choice between becoming a grandmaster at chess or 100-meter Olympic champion, what would you choose?
A grandmaster chess and 100 meters,
Olympic champion.
any day grandmaster chess.
Wow, I can see the intellect flowing through. That's really interesting.
Maybe,
How yes,
maybe in
sir.
my next life.
So if you were an animal, which any animal you could be, which one would you be and why?
Uh, I would like to be a camel.
Wow, this is interesting.
Uh, I would like to be a camel because camel has displayed its ability to survive. The lessons of instinct for survival for a long, long time in adverse conditions and situations is what a human being is supposed to imbibe. And I, being one of the lesser mortals, have liked the mindset and the characteristic features of a camel. I would definitely like to be an animal in the desert, that is a caravan against odds in the most adverse conditions, like the way a camel does. So camel is my first choice.
It's so unique, so different answers. So my last question to you: how does the educationist Sir Sudhakar Rao unwind himself? So what happens? Is it music? Is it Netflix? How does that happen, sir?
I watch a lot of movies. That's been there with me during my undergrad days. Uh,
Wow,
when I was in engineering, I used to watch on an average 3.52 movies per week.
that's wonderful.
That was too much. Okay.
So that's a
Uh,
secret of how we become good educators. We're making notes, sir.
Even now, I watch a lot of movies on Netflix and Prime Video. So I keep watching. So right now, as we are talking, last
Yes.
night I watched about two movies: Blackmail and Road to Ladakh by
Okay.
Irfan Khan.
Wow, that's a tribute. That's a lovely way of actually doing a tribute, sir, to someone who's amazing.
He is one of the finest actors who has
Yes.
lived in our times.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. So, anything else on the binge watching show you recommend that we should be watching?
I think people should watch Contagion.
Okay, that's
People
amazing.
should watch Contagion. That is one. And there is a movie in Malayalam, Tamil, and Telugu. In Telugu, it is called uh, Kanulu Kanulanu Dochayante. What it means is um, the hero is Dalkar Salman, son of Mammootty. That movie is actually doing a good one. It is some two girls and two boys, and in that they do money heist on one hand, and the others actually trying to beat the established norms of e-commerce.
Wow.
So it's very interesting. I think people should watch that and then be careful about it. That is one of the movies that I recommend.
The poster will be right here. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. We saw the intellect part of it, the empathetic part of it, the prognosis that you shared. Sir, it was amazing just to share my conversation with you. I learned so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dawood, for zeroing on me. I am very happy to have conversed with you. Convey my regards to your family members, and you too have a good time and spread the good word that we need to be strong enough to be able to help others. With
Absolutely,
that
sir.
message, we can close this discussion. Thank you very much.
Sir, my pleasure. Thank you so much, sir.